Hello everyone, today I will continue sharing with you the story of the single mother Diệu Hân. I hope you enjoy the video. In the morning, inside the small house, sunlight slipped through the thin curtain, casting warm rays onto the yard where Hân was watering her rows of green vegetables. Ton stood by the porch, holding Tom in his arms, playfully teaching the child to read his very first letters. The child's bright laughter blended with the crowing of roosters and the chirping of birds, creating a peaceful symphony that Hân never thought she would one day have. After so many storms, Hân finally accepted Ton into her life. She no longer had to shoulder everything alone, there was now a man ready to share the burdens and offer her shelter. Dinner was no longer quiet and solitary. Instead, it became a time when the three of them gathered around a simple meal. Ton always placed the best bites into Hân's bowl, while little Tom eagerly shared stories from school, filling the small home with warmth and laughter. At night, after Tom had fallen asleep, Hân and Ton would sit outside on the porch, sipping hot tea. Ton often held her slender hand, his gaze steady and full of love. And Hân, after so much hesitation, finally allowed her heart to open, embracing a simple yet complete happiness. Life still held many hardships, but within that home, the three of them had found true peace and a real family. Hân was no longer alone, Tom now had a household full of love, and for Ton, the whole world seemed to shrink down to just the two beloved souls sitting right beside him. That morning, as Hân and Ton rolled up their sleeves to clean the old school, the news quickly spread throughout the village. Before long, a few neighbors also showed up, bringing along brooms, shovels, and even old desks and chairs that could still be used. Uncle Tu, the village carpenter, smiled kindly as he carried his toolbox, helping Ton repair the broken door. Mrs. Nam, who ran the small grocery store, handed over a few leftover cans of paint with a laugh. "I can't help much with the work, but here's some paint for you to brighten up the classroom walls." The sound of hammers, sweeping brooms, and cheerful conversations echoed across the schoolyard. The village youth, seeing the lively atmosphere, eagerly joined in. Some climbed onto the roof to replace broken tiles, others mixed lime to whitewash the walls. The children, thrilled, picked up trash, gathered dry leaves, and ran around laughing as if it were a festival. As Hân swept the classroom floor, she occasionally looked up at Ton. He was working with Uncle Tu, repairing desks and chairs, sweat dripping down his sunburnt face, yet his eyes glowed with joy. Her heart swelled with emotion. This was the man she could truly rely on, not only for herself but also for the good of the whole community. By noon, everyone spread mats beneath the old flamboyant tree, sharing loaves of bread, a pot of green tea, and fresh fruits from the garden. Laughter and chatter filled the air, as if the school had not only been cleared of dust but also filled with human warmth. As the afternoon sun faded, the once-forgotten classroom looked completely renewed. The walls gleamed white, the windows sparkled, and the desks were neatly arranged. When the little wind chime on the porch tinkled softly, the children rushed in with cheers of excitement. One boy pointed at the freshly painted wall and exclaimed, "Tomorrow, I'll draw a sunflower here, so the classroom will always be bright." At that, everyone burst out laughing. Hân tightened her grip on Tana's hand, her eyes brimming with tears of happiness. In that moment, she realized that joy was not only found in the little comforts of their home, but also in the values they nurtured together, values that would accompany the children for a lifetime. That afternoon, while Hân and Ton were busy cleaning alongside the neighbors, Tana's parents also arrived. They didn't come empty-handed. Their old cart was filled with pots of bright yellow chrysanthemums, bundles of colorful bougainvillea, and a few brand-new fabric curtains that had been sewn long ago. As soon as she stepped down, Tana's mother placed her warm hand gently on Hân's shoulder, smiling kindly. "What you two are doing is truly meaningful. Today, your father and I came to lend a hand, so that the children can have a proper classroom. Without hesitation, she joined the village women, arranging flowers in glass jars and hanging the curtains by the windows to brighten the room. Every movement of hers was careful and tender, like a mother tending to her own home. Tana's father, known for his resourcefulness, quickly joined the young men on the roof, replacing broken tiles and repairing the old school sign that had long been peeling. The sound of hammers echoed, brooms swept rhythmically, mingling with cheerful voices. Children ran about excitedly, some picking up trash, some carrying water, and others drawing little flowers on scraps of paper to paste on the classroom walls. The whole place was filled with the warmth of community, each person carrying the simple joy of contributing something small for the next generation. For a moment, Han stood still, her eyes misty as she watched the bustling scene. She saw Tan carefully measuring the doors, sweat streaming down his sunburnt face, yet his smile unwavering. Now and then, he turned to her with eyes full of pride. Behind him stood his parents, the very people who had opened their arms to accept Han and little Tom as their own. In that instant, Han realized she was no longer alone, she truly had a family. As the sun dipped behind the bamboo grove, the schoolyard glowed in golden light. Pots of chrysanthemums bloomed brightly by the porch, curtains swayed gently in the breeze, and the freshly painted school sign shone against the orange sky. Inside, the desks and chairs stood neatly in rows, the blackboard wiped spotless, ready to welcome the children back. Laughter rang out as the kids rushed in, delightedly trying out the new seats. One boy shouted, "The classroom is so beautiful. From now on, we'll study harder so we don't waste everyone's effort." The crowd burst into laughter. Tan squeezed Han's hand tightly and whispered, "We're not just rebuilding a school, we're building hope for these children." In that moment, Han's heart swelled with emotion. Happiness was no longer just about the little home the three of them shared, but also about the values they had sown together for the community, a lasting joy, strong enough to warm an entire village. A week after the cleanup, the old school was dressed in a brand new coat. That morning, the entire village seemed to awaken to the sound of the resounding school drum. The sky was a clear blue, golden rays of sunlight streaming down onto the schoolyard, where the pots of chrysanthemums and bougainvillea, arranged by Tana's mother the week before, bloomed brightly, as if opening their arms to welcome a new beginning. From every corner of the village, people eagerly gathered. Children carried balloons, while the adults brought cakes, fruits, and pots of tea. The joyful atmosphere spread wide, turning the once quiet schoolyard into the heart of celebration. Tana's father stood proudly beside the freshly painted school sign, his gentle eyes glowing as though he was witnessing not just an important day for the children, but for the entire village. His mother bustled around, guiding groups of students into neat lines, straightening collars and smoothing messy hair with a radiant face, like she herself had returned to her childhood days. Han and Tan hurried back and forth with the teachers, arranging desks and chairs, and hanging red flags along the walkway. Little Tom toddled behind them, his eyes sparkling with joy at being able to take part in his parents' efforts. Watching the scene, everyone felt a warmth in their hearts. This small family had truly become the pride of the village. When the sound of the opening drum echoed, tum, 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 the schoolyard erupted in cheers. Children clapped and shouted in delight. A little boy in first grade, still stammering, nervously stood up to recite the poem, The First Day of School. His voice was clear but halting, and yet it silenced the crowd, moving every adult present with pride and tenderness. At the back, Han held Tom tightly in her arms, feeling the warmth of Tom right beside her. He gently squeezed her hand, saying nothing, but his eyes conveyed everything: trust, peace, and a bright future. In that moment, Han realized her life had turned to a brand new page, the page of happiness and shared dreams. After the ceremony, villagers gathered under the old flamboyant tree. On the mats they hastily spread lay a pot of green tea, trays of sweet rice cakes, and baskets of fresh fruit. Uncle Tu the carpenter lifted his cup, his hoarse voice filled with pride. Seeing the classroom like this brings me back to the old days, when we two once sat here, dreaming of a brighter tomorrow. And now, the next generation will carry that dream forward. The village chief, unable to hide his emotion, turned to Tan and Han. If not for you two starting this, the classroom might still be in ruins. Today is not only the first day of school, it is the day our village rekindles a dream. Applause filled the air, mingled with the innocent laughter of the children. A few tears of joy were shed, but all felt relieved, as though the future was glowing brighter. Above, swallows danced in the sky, heralding a new season full of hope. Inside Han's heart, peace and pride surged. She knew the long hardships had brought her to the most meaningful place, a warm home, a bonded community, and a future built with love. After that emotional school opening ceremony, the life of Han and Tan became ever more filled with peace. They nurtured their little home bit by bit, each morning tending to the vegetable garden together, each evening gathering around a simple meal overflowing with love. Tan kept the habit of taking Han and Tom to visit the village school, which had now become the pride of the entire community. Every year, before the new school year, their whole family along with Tana's parents would busily sweep, repair, and decorate the place, an act that had turned into a tradition, affectionately called by the villagers the Festival of Love. It was during those joyful days that Han unexpectedly brought wonderful news. That afternoon, as the sunlight turned golden, she gently placed the medical results slip into Tana's hand. For a moment, he froze, eyes widening in disbelief. Just a heartbeat later, his face lit up, radiant as the summer sun. He embraced Han tightly, his arms trembling with emotion, his voice choked. "So, we're going to have another member of the family." The good news quickly spread through the household. When Tana's aging parents heard it, their eyes, once dimmed by time, sparkled like those of children. His mother held Han's hands tightly, her voice quivering. "You've carried so many burdens, my dear. Now let us share them with you." The very next day, she prepared nourishing dishes, while his father spent the entire afternoon in his small workshop, crafting a wooden cradle with his calloused hands. With care, he carved simple flower motifs into the wood, sending blessings to the grandchild yet to be born. When little Tom learned he would soon be a big brother, he jumped with joy, running around the yard, proudly telling everyone, "I'll be a big brother. I'll protect my baby sibling, just like Dad protects Mom and me." His innocent words made everyone laugh, but also stirred Han's heart with indescribable happiness. She looked at Tan, and in his eyes she saw unwavering certainty. Their family was not only growing in number, but also becoming stronger through a deepening love. From then on, their little home was always filled with laughter. Han felt incredibly blessed. After all the storms, she now had a complete home, a place with love, with parents by their side, with Tom's cheerful voice echoing around, and soon, the sweet cry of another little angel. Happiness flowed like a clear spring, endlessly refreshing the hearts of everyone in the family.
As time went by, the old school that had been repaired truly came back to life. At first, only a few dozen children attended, but thanks to the word spreading through the village, the number of students grew day by day. Families that once paid little attention to education now eagerly sent their children, because they saw this place as bright, clean, and full of love. The classrooms echoed with the sounds of children spelling out words, the clatter of chairs and desks as the little ones settled in. During recess, the schoolyard was as lively as a small fair. Boys played shuttlecock, girls skipped rope, and some children ran about plucking marigolds from the veranda to tuck into their friends' hair. The atmosphere of learning transformed the whole village. Children's laughter and chatter swept away the silence that once weighed on the old school. It was in this setting that Ton was unexpectedly entrusted with a great responsibility, becoming the school's volunteer teacher. Having studied thoroughly himself, and known for his patience and warmth with children, he quickly took on the role of teaching the younger students. On his very first day at the blackboard, his deep, steady voice rang out, "Children, learning letters is so you can read books, write letters, and open bigger doors to the future. But more than that, learning is to become good people, those who know how to love and to share." The children listened intently, their round eyes sparkling with wonder. Han stood at the back of the class, holding Tom in her arms, her heart swelling with pride. The man beside her was not only a husband and father, but now someone planting seeds of knowledge for generations to come. Before long, the change was evident. Many children who once followed their parents to the fields now knew how to read and write. Some even managed to pen their very first letters to fathers working far away. "I go to school now. I will try hard so that one day I can help our family escape poverty." The handwriting was shaky and uneven, but within it lay a tremendous hope. The small school had become more than a place of learning. It was now the shared home of the village. Each afternoon, parents and grandparents would stop by to watch their children read aloud, their eyes shining with pride. They would say to one another, "In the past, we only dreamed of this. Now our children are making that dream come true." Han watched Ton grow busier with chalk and lessons, but her heart overflowed with happiness. For thanks to this school, and to love and solidarity, countless children now had a doorway opening toward a brighter future.
Hello mọi người, lại là mình đây. Rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình nha. Chúc mọi người một ngày vui vẻ và hạnh phúc. Hy vọng rằng những video của mình sẽ mang đến niềm vui cho mọi người mỗi khi xem. Và đặc biệt là những video của mình sẽ mang đến cho mọi người những hiểu biết hơn về cuộc sống của những người mẹ đơn thân ở Việt Nam. Mọi người nhớ đón xem những video tiếp theo của mình nha. Nhớ để lại cho mình một nhận xét ở dưới phần bình luận để những video sau mình sẽ cải thiện hay và hấp dẫn hơn. Và đặc biệt là mọi người nhớ cho mình một like, share và nhớ bật chuông thông báo để nhận thông báo khi mà mình đăng video mới nhất. Ở những video mới thì sẽ có những tình tiết hay và hấp dẫn hơn để cho mọi người xem. Và một lần nữa cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video của mình. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người nha.